My name is Emily Athena, and today I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should not tuck your tailbone. If you've been to a fitness class recently, you may have heard the cue, tuck your tailbone. What that means is taking your pelvis from either a neutral position or possibly an anterior tilt, taking that tailbone and pulling it under towards your pubic bone. So from neutral to a tucked tail, just like it sounds. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with moving your pelvis posteriorly. I think it's a great idea to move your pelvis and your entire body in all the ways it was meant to move. Every day, move your body. That's a great idea. The problem with the tucked tailbone is that most of us are already living our lives in a tucked tailbone. So instead of sitting right up on our sit bones every time we sit down to eat, to drive, to work, to everything, most of us are already sitting back on the tail a bit. So if you're spending most of your time in this position and then you go to a fitness class and they're reinforcing that, that's just too much tucking. The first reason why you should not tuck your tailbone is that it shortens your pelvic floor. Imagine that my fingers are your pelvic floor. My index finger is your pubic bone, thumbs are your tailbone, and fists are your sit bones. When you tuck your tail, you're bringing the tailbone forward towards your pubic bone. Normal length, tucked tail. You can see this literally shortens your pelvic floor. When you shorten the pelvic floor, you're creating tension in those muscles. Too much tension is going to lead to pain. So this could manifest as tailbone pain or just general pelvic pain, pain with sex, vulvodynia, vaginismus, urge incontinence, and even something like prolapse. Because if muscles are too tight, it's going to make space for organs to fall. So there are problems with muscles being too tight and too loose, and the tucked tailbone is going to reinforce too tight pelvic floor muscles. The second reason you should not tuck your tailbone is that it lengthens your lumbar curve. So as you can see, I have this lumbar curve in my spine. When I tuck my tail under, it flattens. So the problem there is that our vertebrae have these discs in the front. So towards the belly, there's these discs. And when I flatten my lumbar curve, I'm smushing the discs. This can lead to low back pain, to degenerative disc disease. We really need to keep those discs between each vertebrae nice and healthy throughout our lives. So if you're going to constantly flatten that lumbar curve, you're going to put too much pressure on these discs. The other thing is flattening that lumbar curve takes away the spine and the way it's nestled against all the organs living in here. It's another way prolapse can happen. So that nice tight nestle where everything fits perfectly, if you continually pull your spine back and flatten that curve, it makes space for your organs to fall down into your pelvis. That's prolapse. The third reason you should not tuck your tailbone is that it creates a gesture of fear and shame. Think about when a dog tucks its tailbone. It's always in response to a fear or being yelled at, like a shaming. So whether the gesture came first or whether the emotion came first, when you live your life in this contracted position, you're not really showing up fully. Essentially, parts of you are being taken away. You're not standing in your fullness with your backside fully out, with your chest fully open, not standing fully in your presence. The fourth reason why you should not tuck your tailbone is that it constricts the breath. Our diaphragm is connected to L1, our lumbar vertebrae, which, as I talked about before, is then connected down to the tailbone. So if you're taking your tailbone and pulling it under, you're essentially pulling on the muscles that connect to your diaphragm. So this is going to restrict how full of a breath you can take. If you can't take a full breath, this can lead to anxiety and stress. The fifth reason why you should not tuck your tailbone is that it looks terrible. I'm a fitness instructor, and women come to my classes and they want to build a nice big booty. We all want to be Beyonce, right? Well, if you're taking your tailbone and you're tucking it under, you're taking your butt away. If you want to build a big booty and look like you have a big booty, you got to get your pelvis in neutral and let your butt be back there. If you tuck your butt under, I literally just took my butt away. So booty curve, no butt. If you want to build glutes, there's amazing ways to build glutes that don't include tucking your tailbone. I hope this was informative. I hope you will think twice before tucking your tailbone. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I'll be back next week with more information about the body, movement, or sex.